Hey, it's your girl Barbie J. Welcome to my channel. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Barbie J here with the recap and review of Tyler Perry's other comedy drama, Zatima, Season 3, Episode 16, The Art of Surprise. Well, I get what that title's about, but I really didn't like that scene in the episode. But you could judge for yourself. Anyway, the synopsis for this episode reads: Fatima's childhood friends, Leslie and Malachi, visit and open a world of confusion for Zack. And that is so true. And then, after being exposed on the internet, Angela leans on Fatima for help to rectify the situation. So now you're leaning on her to rectify the situation, but you had a problem with her protecting you and telling you you need to stop bringing home those random guys. You call it judgment. But from where I'm sitting, it seems like she just cares about her friend and her friend's safety, which is something her own friend doesn't care about her own life. That's all I got to say about Angela. Thank you. And now, before we get started, if you're new here or if you're returning and have not subscribed to this channel as of yet, please take a moment right now and hit that subscribe button for me, please. Then hit the notification bell and select all. It'll let you know every time I upload any new content to this channel. Then I ask that you hit that like button, which is the thumbs up button. Write a comment and put in your 2 cents in the comment section. And then share, because what? Sharing is caring, and a sister could use your help. Thank you. Now, this episode starts how the last one ended, when Zack has flipped Malachi over and threw him on the floor because he thought he was kissing on Fatima. It just so happens that Leslie all of a sudden has Fatima's hairstyle. And I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, is this some fatal attraction type of stuff? You know, wanting to be like Fatima and you change your hair like that? But as we find out later on, that's not what it is. And it's very disturbing to find out what it is. So Leslie had the nerve to catch an attitude by Zack's actions, and I don't appreciate her. First of all, you in this man's house and you're disrespecting it. Who are you to be in somebody's house for the first time? They're telling Zack that Fatima told them where the spare key was, so they came in. You come in and sit your behind on the couch. You don't start making out with your butt on their kitchen counter. Who the hell does that? That is so disrespectful on every level. I don't care. But she had the nerve to get mad and have an attitude with Zack. And now we know why, because she had already run a background check on him. How dare she check on Fatima's man? So Zack is asking, who are they? Who are they? And he explains, I'm Malachi, she's Leslie. Yeah, but who are you? Oh, we're all friends of Fatima. And then they tell everything. And he said, well, my bad. I'm sorry. She's like, well, that's a hell of a way to be greeting. Well, shoot, you had a hell of a way to be sitting your behind on my kitchen counter where we be preparing food. So Zack asks, where's Fatima? And they said she's close by. He said, well, he got to go up and take a shower and to make themselves comfortable. And then he apologized once more. So now we see Angela calling Bryce back into her house, and she starts explaining and shows him the video. And he's like, oh my God. And she's like, what is this? How did this happen? What's going on? And then he starts thinking, and he remembers that he clicked on one of these fetish sites and was watching it, and that he was like, I guess, jerking off. And what happened is they tapped into his camera when he did that, I guess, on his laptop. And so they told him he had to send them 800 Bitcoins, else they were going to release his video. So I guess he did it or whatever, but then he changed all his passwords except for the one for her house. And I'm like, how could you change all the passwords and for some things and not all the things? It just made no sense whatsoever. So because they had his password and his email address, they were able to tap into all the different cameras that he had registered, I guess, with this company or whatever. So, of course, Angela's pissed. Angela's mad rude to him all the time. She was mad rude to him. She was mad rude to that guy who showed her the site. She was cussing at them and everything. She was mad rude to Humphrey. What's his name? Humphrey Bogart. She just rude to these men. And I'm like, what is wrong with you, Angela? You need to learn how to talk to people. So now we see Fatima gets home and she comes in the door and kind of looks strangely at Malachi. And then she asks what happened. And Leslie tells her what happened. And she's like, oh, I guess part of the reason might be because he thought you were me because your hair looks like mine now. She said, are y'all good? She said, I'll be right back down. And she goes upstairs because now she knows that Zack is up there. So she's sitting on the bed, rubbing her feet when Zack comes out of the bathroom from taking a shower because he was funky as ever being in jail overnight. So Zack is looking at her and he's like, you not surprised to see me? She's like, no. He said, why? Because you know that Jeremiah is alive. She said, yeah. He said, you knew this yesterday? And she said, yep. He says, so why you didn't come and get me? She's like, Zack, I don't want to talk about it right now. I got company downstairs and they can hear everything because there's no door on here. I don't know who designed this. Makes no sense. And I was saying the same thing all this time. So anyway, she goes into the bathroom to use the toilet and Zack follows her in there because he wants to talk. And Fatina's like, I gotta pee and all this stuff. And he's like, look, why don't we do this? Because she kept saying she don't want to talk about it. He said, how about you listen and I talk? So once again, Zack is telling the same story. And Fatima lets him know, if he had died, you would have ruined everything. And he's like, I know. And he said, I had to let him know that he can't put his hands on you ever. And she's like, I'm sure he knows that now. And he said, well, check this out. How about in the future, if something like this happens, don't tell me. He is crazy. And she looks at him like he's cool, like he got 4, 5, 6 eyes. And she said, that's what I tried to do. And he's like, yeah, okay, well, that's all he could say. So Fatima tells Zack that she really loves him, but she's tired of him doing stupid ish. And then she shares with him a story about her parents to help him understand what could have happened and how their father's life could have been ruined and he could have been in jail and stuff because he was in the military. So Zack finally got it and stuff. So anyway, she's like, now can you get out? I gotta go to the bathroom. He said, you could pee. I've seen you pee before. She said, I got an ish. Dang it. And he's like, ooh, okay. I think a little bit of seeping out. I can smell it now. It's like, get out. She was like, he just kept messing with her. So anyway, Zack goes downstairs to chat with Malachi and Leslie, and she was giving off these superiority vibes to me. That's how I felt. And still trying to put down Zack for his earlier actions. So Malachi tells Zack that he's not trained like him because the way that Zack threw him off of her was like street style. And Zack is like, oh, okay, so like big deal. So now Leslie is telling Malachi to show Zack what he would have did and what he means by trained. And Malachi says, no, no, no. And she says, you want to know, don't you, Zack? And so Zack does want to know. He said, I want to know. Malachi keeps saying no until Leslie and Zack push him into doing it. So lo and behold, when he showed Zack what he would have done, Zack ended up on the floor as Fatima was coming down the stairs and she asks, what's going on here? And Leslie leans over Zack and says, a lesson. And Leslie calls Zack baby as he's getting up. So Fatima comes over to them and Leslie asks Zack, how's your back feel, baby? And Fatima says, baby. So Fatima says it's too late to start cooking. So she ordered food for everybody. So she remembers what both Malachi and Leslie like to eat. And Zack made a mental note of it. You could tell the way he was paying attention. So the ladies go in the kitchen to get the utensils to set the table. And Zack and Malachi get a chance to talk. He tells Zack he like his house. What is he into? He said real estate. He asked, what are you in? He said an FBI agent. And Zack also asked him how long he known Fatima. And he said 20 years. But see, Zack didn't ask that to Leslie. But I have to assume that Zack picked up some sort of energy in the room between Malachi and Fatima for some reason for him to ask that question and be feeling that kind of way. Remember, he knew when Paul was feeling Fatima and Fatima tried to act like the guy was just being nice. But Zack knew. Anyway, back to Zack and Malachi. Zack told him he could tell by the way Malachi looked at him earlier and while he was saying something that he already knew about him and had probably ran his background and stuff. And Malachi never confirmed or denied what Zack said. But he did say there's no judgment here, and he's happy that Fatima's happy. And Zack is like, when the last time you seen her? He said, it's been a long time because we were overseas. So Zack says, nice. And then Malachi is looking at him, it's like, is something wrong? He said, no. And he said, you sure? And Zack is like, what you doing, reading my body language? And he said, matter of fact, I am. And he said, so what is my body language saying? He said, you're suspicious, And he said, yeah, because she's never mentioned you. So it makes me suspicious. And Malachi is like, he doesn't know why. Like, he don't know why Fatima didn't mention him. And Zack said, yeah, hopefully we can get to the bottom of that at dinner. I said, uh-oh, we foreshadowing what's about to happen, y'all. So now over in the kitchen, Fatima gets a call from Angela who lets her know that it was Bryce. And she's like, what? And she tells Fatima that he said he was on a fetish site and they hacked into his computer and now she needs to get this down. So she asked Fatima, did she talk to them yet? And Fatima said, I'll talk to them in private after dinner. And she said, please, I need it down now, please. And Fatima's like, I got you. So she hangs up and then Leslie comes over and she proceeds to give her opinion of Zack. She got so much to say about him. Oh, the way he reacted like he thought you were in here with somebody. Malachi wouldn't have never done that. He's a hothead. I looked him up and the robbery conviction and the video of him beating his brother. And she was like, look, Zack has his way of doing things. Zack is a good man. Zack is a work in progress. She's like, I don't like it. I don't like it. Girl, it ain't your man. You don't have to like it. Fatima's like, look, you know me and you know what I'll put up with. Okay, so can we finish dinner and have a nice night together? She said, okay, just make sure you have some good wine. She said, always, because I know how you love your wine. So as we see, they keep talking about Leslie and her wine, and we realize she don't know how to hold her liquor. Yo, I got to tell y'all, this scene was so intense. I basically had to write it down word for word because I just had to express what this woman was doing was so messed up. It was ridiculous. So she starts off with Fatima got a good memory because Fatima remembered the wine she liked. She said Malachi got a good memory too. He's always Fatima this and Fatima that. And Fatima's like, okay, I think you had enough wine. And Malachi's like, baby, this is not the time. And she's like, why not? They engaged, you know. And I'm like, what is with this girl? And she said, I see someone is keeping secrets. I don't know how a relationship could be healthy with secrets. And Malachi is trying to tell her to stop in so many words as Fatima agrees with him every time. Meanwhile, Zack is looking at Fatima and waiting for Leslie to say more. So Leslie finishes off her glass of wine and says, part of the reason we left, and she's like, okay, stop, Leslie, stop. And she says, like, look, Zack, it's because these two were in love. He was her dream man and she loved him, and I was her bestie, and I screwed up. And we hooked up and fell in love after. Malachi didn't want to tell her, and she ended up catching us, and we didn't talk for years after that. And Zack said, wow, this is fascinating. And she said, that's why I was surprised you invited us here, Fatima. And Zack said, I am too. And Leslie added that after they left the gym, Malachi asked her to get her hair styled like Fatima's. And I said, and your dumb behind did it after it hit you that your husband is still not over, Fatima? And she's like, he's always comparing me to you. It's like he just settled for me when you walked away from him. I'm like, oh my God, this lady is crazy. And so she says she spends every day trying to be Fatima. And Malachi says, that's not true. That's not true. And I said, yo, y'all, this chick is like Belinda part two or Belinda 2.0 or Belinda whatever, but she got a little Belinda in her because they are jealous of Fatima's relationship with Zack and they will do anything they can to destroy it. This was so ridiculous. I mean, we could see that Leslie is definitely suffering from some very, very low self-esteem because then she started lying, saying Malachi called Fatima. I know he called you and that I know that y'all met last week at his hotel. And Fatima's like, what? No, we did not. Stop with the lies. And she said she saw Fatima coming out of his hotel room and Malachi is telling her to stop it. And she said, no, Zack needs to know this. And she shows a picture of Fatima in bed with a man. And I'm like, now, how in the world did she get this picture of them in bed together? She can't get a picture like that unless that's an old picture from when Fatima and Malachi were dating. That's the only thing that makes sense right now. So she's holding up that cell phone picture and she's like, look, got it in Fatima's face, got it in Zack's face. Don't that look like you? Zack, look at the date on the picture. You know, Zack said, I'm looking while he drinking wine and acting silly and stuff. And then she says, so what you going to do, Zack? And I'm like, what? And Fatima's just there with her head down and her fingers clasped together. Like, this biatch is crazy. And I'm like, wasn't she just telling Fatima earlier that she didn't care much for Zach? And so now she's going all out to try to destroy this relationship that Fatima have because she's jealous of her. All I can say to Leslie right now is karma is a biatch. It serves you right. You getting what you deserve. So this scene was so wild. It was the best scene of the episode. Y'all let me know down in the comment section what y'all all thought about it. I can't wait to hear what everybody has to say. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. It's your girl Barbie J saying I'll see you in the next video. Peace.